Ladies and gentlemen, it is 10 Cent Beer Night here on January 17th. We are filming on January 15th. Happy Martin Luther King Day to you. And of course, as we're talking, a lot of news is coming in about the NFL, NCAA, and of course NBA, because with it being Martin Luther King Day, there's NBA games literally all day today, including 76ers and Houston Rockets just tipped off, and Cavaliers will play the Bulls tonight at 7 p.m. So they got a normal scheduled game, but a lot of them are playing right now and early today, so there's a lot going on. Of course, we got a lot to talk about, including this disappointing Browns short-lived playoff run here. But I'm Seth.
I'm Bob.
And this is 10 Cent Beer, the official sports show of Fifth Dimension Radio.com. Every Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. It replays on Saturdays at 1 p.m.?
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock, 1 p.m. there. So that's our replays there. A couple of things to bring to the table today. There is actually 2 football games. Of course, if you're following the NFL playoffs, you know the Pittsburgh Steelers and Buffalo Bills game got moved to Monday at 4:30 because of Buffalo getting 3 feet of snow.
It's Buffalo.
I know.
It's Buffalo.
I know. And the new stadium's not even supposed to have a dome. So that's going to happen there,
well,
too.
It shouldn't be no dome for football, man. Shouldn't be no dome for any sports.
Right. I actually agree. Not any sport. Like,
well, I mean,
basketball can have it be inside.
The outdoor
you don't want
sports.
it to snow or rain.
You know, baseball, football, soccer, that should all be be all played outdoors.
I agree. Now, baseball, we can't play in 3 feet of snow. And you know that. The Indians back in the day tried it.
Yeah, but back in the day, Charlie Finley of the Oakland A's tried to use a yellow ball.
Right.
Yeah, you know, tried a yellow ball years ago. So, you know, you could be able to see it in the snow. There
you go. With our picks last week, me and Bob both picked Buffalo to win today. We'll see if that happens. We were split on tonight's decision between the Eagles and Buccaneers. I picked the Eagles. Bob picked Buccaneers. However, with some of the injury news concerning the Eagles, Bob might be right on this one. I mean, the way the Eagles have played of late, and you lose A.J. Brown, that's a huge loss. That's a game-changing player right there. And maybe Baker Mayfield can pull off a win tonight.
It's in Tampa.
Right. And you have to understand how significant that is going to be for the Browns' current situation. Because here it is, and you know we'll recap some of the game here in a sec. But they would do this massive trade with the Houston Texans a few years ago, okay? And Houston finds a new franchise quarterback in C.J. Stroud from Ohio State, guy we cheered for a year ago. I still like the kid. I still cheer for him now, but I cheered against him Saturday for obvious reasons. He went up against my team. But, you know, I wish all my Buckeye players well. But they get him, and in the first year with the new head coach, their third new head coach in 3 years, but the new head coach and the quarterback, they are a playoff team. They win the division, and then they win their first playoff game. So this is a significant run for them right now. Browns, of course, they went up against the Browns, who made that trade with them. Watson did not play; he's been hurt. But you know, Joe Flacco did the best he could. But then it gets more interesting, Bob, because you know, as part of that situation went on, that included the Browns forcing their hand in trading Baker Mayfield away. Baker has now won a division title this year. If he wins tonight, then he has a playoff win with another team. And so if you're the Browns, and I understand there's a lot that's going into this. Watson was suspended most of last season. He was hurt most of this season. And you still made the playoffs, so you have to add that in the mix too. But you look at where the Texans are at and where Baker Mayfield's at, and you have to wonder a little bit. And that's where next year for Deshaun Watson is going to be critical. Now, I think Stefanski and Barry have made the case already going to the playoffs this year that they're safe. We talked about this a year ago where we said if they don't go to the playoffs this coming season, it's over. They did. I think they're safe. It's you can mark it down. But next season is going to be very tough. going into, and it's not just because what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson? When's Nick Chubb coming back? And again, we have a whole off season, so things could change. Most of their schedule next season is teams that made the playoffs this season. You have, of course, your division rivals, which two of them outside of you, so the Cleveland, made the playoffs. You have the whole AFC West, which includes Kansas City Chiefs and Los Angeles Chargers coming to Cleveland. And right now, as we're speaking, the Chargers are interviewing Jim Harbaugh for their head coach vacancy. And then you have the NFC East. That was very tough this year. That includes the Dallas Cowboys and New York Giants coming to Cleveland. Then you have, now that it used to be one team, now it's two teams a year. There will be a division where each team in each division plays one team. Next year, our random team from the AFC East is the Miami Dolphins, who just lost, but were the top offense in the league this year. They will be in Cleveland next year. Hopefully it'll be a cold game because they don't play well there. And then you have, they're going to play the Saints as their NFC South team away. So you look at, there's a couple teams I did not mention that will be away, but you look at those situations and you're like, next year's going to be a battle. So they got to go in this offseason and make sure they hit on everything they need. Bob, you watched part of the game too. What were your thoughts as far as everything?
They were completely outplayed. Period. No, Houston's offense just picked Cleveland's defense apart.
Right.
I mean, like the defense didn't show up. Like I said, I turned it off after the third quarter. I said, I ain't finished watching this mess.
Right.
I ended up watching Gunsmoke on the INS or whatever channel.
We're going way back there.
Yeah, I'm watching quality shows.
There you go. I did watch the whole game. Myles Garrett and Bob basically said the same thing. They got out-coached. They got outplayed. It was the toughest loss in Myles Garrett's career, according to him. It's watching the game. Here's the notes I took is because near the end of the game, you have to think, what do they need going into this offseason? What could possibly make this team better? I will say more offensive line depth. I mean, they went in the season with a decent amount, and they didn't expect the injuries they got, but a little bit more would really, really help them. The deeper the depth in that, the better. And there was a lot of pressure against Flacco in that game that the starters would have, the regular stars that weren't hurt would have prevented, but they didn't. The good news is, I know Joel Bitonio, he's under contract for next year. He's getting up there in his career, but he called out to Nick Chubb in his interview and said, I'm going to block for you again next year. So he's going to be back, and that's a Hall of Fame player right there. As far as the defense goes, bad tackling attempts. It was
horrible. It was horrible.
On top of that, the big pass plays they gave up, I noticed something. Schwartz likes to mix it up a bit. He wants pressure, but he'll mix it with a lot of zone and man. The team is built for man defense. When Stefanski came in and Barry came in, and Stefanski's known he's an offensive guy, but both him and Barry were defensive backs in college. Barry for Harvard, and then Stefanski for I think Division II or III school. It was a smaller school.
Harvard?
Yeah.
Is that where he went to school?
Yeah, he's a Harvard kid, yes.
Hey, you would think you would have played, you would have owned it.
But Ivy League athletics is a whole different story, but that's
I don't know. Princeton's doing great right now. They
did step it up there.
They're number one ranked mid-major team in the country now.
There you go.
Since Gonzaga lost the other.
Oh, you're talking about basketball.
Basketball,
yeah. Basketball, yeah. Last year they did pretty well too, but that's anyway. But they set up for more man defense, and that's what Ward, Newsome, and Emerson's specialty basically is. A lot of the big plays they gave up, there was a lot of zone in there. And so, like, when they realized, oh, no, somebody's open, it was too late. Just where they were positioned. And Stroud just picked them apart in that zone. I did notice there were some plays, like there was one, I think it was the Dalton Schultz touchdown where they went over the top. They were in man, but they had two safeties in zone, and the one safety didn't realize that Schultz got behind him before it was too late. And so I found it interesting how much zone was played there, but at the same time, Schwartz had done pretty well for us, and he was still down some guys too, but this defense that had played very well all year long. It was dwindling a bit in December with all the injuries and everything that was going on, and it just was not the Bears 85 defense like we imagined it. That was not the case no longer. And Miles did not have the greatest game either this past week. So a lot of things went south in that game, and it was a blowout. I do want to thank the Dallas Cowboys, though. If they didn't play so bad as they did, they probably would have said the Browns were the worst playoff team of the weekend. But I think Cowboys edged them out there. That was even more disappointing than Cleveland losing in the eyes of the NFL.
Stroud, man, I'll tell you what. For a rookie, he played like he's a veteran.
Right. He played like he's been there before.
He's been there before. Well, he has been there before. If you want to take, he's been in some big games.
Right.
The Rose Bowl. I think it was in the national championship game. Didn't Georgia beat him
in the semi?
In the semi.
But if they would have won that game, they would have been national champions because Georgia rolled over TCU.
But he did not play like a rookie. In a big game like that.
And I found it interesting. We always talk about, maybe not on the show, but in the NFL when it comes to building an environment and everything, it's something the Browns have been doing. And Houston because this is still the beginning of Houston's, but despite the fact they just won a playoff game, they are still rebuilding part of the team.
They're young.
Yeah, they are a young team. That's what makes it more impressive. But with their original pick, the second overall, they picked Stroud. They traded up to get the third overall pick, and that was Will Anderson, the defensive end from Alabama. And one of the things they said is they liked about these guys, other than they were great players, the obvious, that these were guys with winning cultures, with Ryan Day at Ohio State and Nick Saban at Alabama. And they did not like losing, and they worked hard to make sure they didn't lose. That was and that's what they wanted to bring there, and it's worked. It really, and that kind of stuff will work for you if you get the right players in there. But if you're the Panthers sitting there with Bryce Young, who did not have a great season, first overall pick, and you look at C.J. Stroud, you look at Richardson, who the Colts got, and you look at Will Levis, who the Titans got. I mean, you're probably sitting there wondering, did we pick the right guy? Now they're going to give the guy more years, but having C.J. Stroud first overall probably sounds a little bit better in Carolina right now. But fortunately for Houston, they decided to go that direction.
Now, would that have been one of the Browns' picks with the trades?
No, actually, Houston kept the Browns pick. They traded their original pick, which now looking back in hindsight, that was smarter because now they have the higher pick because they beat the Browns.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So they'll have it's 20-something. I don't know the exact official. I haven't looked at that yet. But for the Browns going forward here, what do they need? I'm thinking a little bit more on the defensive tackle side of things. Well, first, let me read off to you. I have the list of the free agents going into this coming off season here, and why they're going to be. Zadarius Smith is going to be the biggest name. What should they bring him back? He did a good job this year, but I thought he was going to do a little better, to be honest with you. I thought there'd be more pressure from that side, the opposite side of Miles, and we didn't. We saw some of that with other players, but not necessarily Zadarius. So it's going to be a question if he'll come back. Shelby Harris, he played well for them, but I don't know if he's going to come back. They might seek some more veteran defensive tackle help there. Jakeem Grant, he's been hurt the whole time he's been here. I think they're not going to bring him back. Joe Flacco, I think he's going to retire.
Oh, I think he's going to retire.
Yeah. He was awesome for us. I'd love for him to be an assistant coach in some way, just to keep him in that locker room, train the other quarterbacks, but that's going to be up to the team. Seon Taki, I like him. I think he's going to be back on a 1 or 2 year deal, but I don't think he should be the starter. I think he should be the backup and go in and sub in and out, but I think he's done a good job to stay. Marquise Goodwin, I think he's going to be gone. They didn't really utilize him like they thought he would. Corey Bojorquez, he'll be back, the punter. He did a very good job this year. He'll be back. Michael Ford for special teams. He probably will be back for special teams. Kareem Hunt, I hate to say it, I don't think he's coming back. They're going to seek some other running back options there. Rodney McLeod, maybe, and that was the one that hurt them when he went down and got hurt. because that was a veteran backup safety that was huge for them against the 49ers and a couple other teams. He would have been big against in that Texans game. And that one's up for debate. Maurice Hurst, I think he'll be back. He surprised them how well he played this year. And he's going to come relatively affordable too, but I do think they're going to bring him back. Anthony Walker, that's up in the air. The locker room likes him. He has performed well, but he's always hurt. That's why the Colts gave up on him. So I think maybe find other options. Then there's other good linebacker options there. I'm not going to mention all these, a couple keywords. Jordan Elliott, I think he's going to be back. He proved himself, especially on third downs this year, the defensive tackle. Jacob Phillips, I think he's going to be done. He won't quit getting hurt. They might bring him back as a backup, see if he can get back up to speed, because they really like him in Cleveland. And when he played well, but he's always hurt. That's the issue there. Harrison Bryant, I think he's going to find a better deal somewhere else. I think a lot of teams kind of like him. And they could use him as a secondary tight end, but I think the Browns have seen the best out of him. I think they could move from him. The other one I'm just going to mention here, and then the rest I'm just going to leave out, is Nick Harris, the backup center. I know they have Luke Wiley there from Ohio State they got. He was center and guard. Harris played a great role stepping in at even fullback positions and blocking there, and he did good as a backup center. I think he's going to be back too. But I think going into this offseason, what are the big needs they need? I would find your starting defensive end. If it's Darius Smith, fine, but lock him up. Get a couple more defensive tackles in there. Just some more veteran presence in there. For the most part, defensive tackles have done well, but I think you just got to find more pressure. I would get a veteran safety in there for backup. I do like Hillman from Ohio State, who played overall well this year for them, the undrafted free agents. But I think you always should have 4 good ones. Get another veteran in there. If it's got to be McLeod, fine. But get somebody that's going to plug in and make an impact directly. But I think the biggest one, in my opinion, O-line depth, just backups, and get 2 new starting linebackers. Because JOK's done an incredible job, but you haven't filled a long-term middle linebacker. And I was crying for that last year, and they didn't do it. They brought Walker back instead, which I understood the logic in that, and then he goes down. If you get 2 good stuff, and they have the money to afford a couple free agents next year, and there's a couple veteran linebackers with enough in the tank that would fit this defense. A couple of them from Tampa Bay who are playing tonight. If you can fill those 2 spots, you're going to be even a better defense than you were this year. And I would get Air for Chubb, running back. Because, like Jerome Ford, I like him, but Chubb's going to be out the first couple weeks of the season. You pair Ford up with some fresh, good legs. That's going to help you out, too. We are out of time. When we come back, we're going to talk more about NFL playoffs. Cavaliers won in France, so that was good. And we're going to talk college basketball is going well for us, too. So we got a lot to talk about coming up. Welcome back to 10 Cent Beer Night here at FifthDimensionRadio.com. I'm Seth.
I'm Bob.
And all right. Right now, as we're speaking, because it's not just NBA, college hoops has games. They're all day today because of Martin Luther King Day. Michigan is up 52-43 against Ohio State in Ann Arbor. Then we got about 12 minutes left.
You're talking about that team up north?
Yes. That unfortunately won a championship recently. I didn't even watch that game. I kind of knew that was going to happen. But it is what it is. You just got to move on, But yeah, and Michigan is 6-10 right now. Ohio State is 12-4. So it should be Ohio State. We would think would win this game, but we'll we'll see.
Well, it's a Big Ten.
I will tell you, there was a report that happened right when we started recording the show. Buckeyes are talking to Ross Bork, Texas A&M athletic director, to replace Gene Smith. Gene left Ohio State to be on the board of college athletics. Columbus Athletics, excuse me. Everything that's to do with Columbus sports. So he's no longer at Ohio State now. So it looks like they're going to interview Bork.
Columbus sports.
Yeah, it's the board of Columbus District Sports.
For all the sport,
just everything in the city, high school, college, pro.
So it's like the athletic director or whatever for the whole city. The city's.
I wouldn't say athletic. He's just part of the board or something like that. He's
never
got
heard of that.
Yeah,
Never heard somebody did something like that.
Yeah, but that's what he left to do. He was.
There's a lot of cities have parks and recreation board members.
Right, I think it's similar to that in a way, just different. But it's a less stressful job. He's getting close to retirement. He's been with Ohio State for a while. He did a good job down there. But that's who they're looking for. I know Ryan Day's done a lot with the transfer portal of recent. Will Howard, quarterback Kansas State, is coming to Ohio State. Seth McLaughlin, guard from Alabama, is coming to Ohio State. And now they're saying, because there's been some coaching changes in both NFL and NCAA. Nick Saban retires from Alabama. The Washington coach now takes that job. Arizona coach takes the Washington job. And that's big because now Washington's part of the Big Ten now. And they're coming off of the championship loss there. But they're saying because Saban's gone, a lot of these players are looking to transfer to Ohio State or Colorado. So we'll see what happens here, but yeah, it looks like Alabama could take a step backwards with Saban retiring and everything. And since we last talked, Bob, we got to throw this out there. There was 5 head coaching vacancies open in the NFL from Vegas, who is close to actually hiring Antonio Pierce. Their interim coach might keep the job. You have the Los Angeles Chargers, who are talking to John Harbaugh. I'm thinking you have Atlanta Falcons there. You've got, let me see, Falcons. Who else? I'm missing somebody because I don't want to see the new ones just yet.
So Harbaugh is interviewing with the Jets. The Chargers, huh?
Right. And that's going to be interesting because
I don't think he's going to leave Michigan.
There you go. The Carolina Panthers, and then the Washington Commanders. But now we've had 3 new ones open since we last talked. Pete Carroll in the Seattle Seahawks decided to take on a new role. He's going to be bumped. He's just going to stay in the front office as an advisor. They're looking for a new head coach. Bill Belichick resigns from the New England Patriots. That's the big one.
I guess they already filled that spot.
They did. Jared Mayo got promoted. He was interviewed for the Browns defense coordinator position last year. Patriots didn't want to lose him, so they gave him more money and asked him to stay, and now he's the head coach. I called that one. And then Akron Knight, Mike Vrabel was fired from the Tennessee Titans.
Yeah.
So, and then on top of all of that, Bob, so there's 8 right there. There might be a 9th. And they're saying Mike Tomlin's not sure about coming back to Pittsburgh next year. And
I guess after the playoffs are done, him and his family is going to sit down and talk what the next step is going to be.
The fact it's coming out before this playoff game is a little alarming, though. You don't want it. You want to hear him say we're focused on this game right now, but the fact that he's come out and said we might make a change of scenery, and if he decides
that means somewhere along the line. A lot of money was talked.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
A lot of
17
money,
straight winning years, and
a lot of money was talked. BS walks.
Right, and he was the reason Pittsburgh made the playoffs this year. If he decides, hypothetically speaking, because we don't know what he's going to decide, if he decides to not take a year off, that's going to be the number 1 coach candidate for all these teams to have an opening, and somebody's going to pay up. Who it's going to be. It could be anybody. The Patriots are off the board now, but I can see Seattle and their defense, because, Tomlin's a big defensive guy. So I could see Seattle, their defensive situation, throwing money at him and saying, come on aboard. Washington could be looking for the strong start that they need with new ownership.
I can see Washington.
Yeah. But I think he's available on the board for any of these teams should he decide to step down. And then that would be the question, what does Pittsburgh look in for their next coach? Because Pittsburgh has not hired a ton of coaches in the past 40 years.
A long time.
There's like, what, four or five in the past 40 years?
You had, of course, you had Chuck Knowles, then you had,
Bill Coward, I mean, was...
Yeah, Bill Coward, it was after Knowles. And then you had Tomlin.
Yeah.
You had 3 coaches last 40 years.
Yeah.
Easy. That's it.
Yeah. So they like to look for somebody long term if they can, but their taste in GM hasn't been very good. If it boils over to head coach, that could cause a problem. But right now they still got a game tonight. By the time the folks listening at home listen to this, they know the situation, if they've won or lost that game. But that is so we're talking 9 new head coaches next year, though, if Tomlin decides not to stay in Pittsburgh. And that's probably the most, I think, since 2008, when there was 8, including Eric Mangini and the Cleveland Browns. I mean, that was a big shakeup in the league.
Well, at one time, it was an every-year thing for the Cleveland Browns.
Almost, yeah. I mean, but it was every other 2-3 years, but it happened a little more frequently than we want to admit to. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. As far as all of that is concerned. Real quick, like I said, Ohio State is playing now. They're now behind by 3, so they've caught up there. But let's talk about the Akron Zips.
Well, this week they went 2-0.
Yep, they beat Ball State at Ball State 80-76, and then they beat Buffalo at home 76-59. You were at that game, Bob.
I was at that game.
How they look?
They look good.
They look good.
They look good. I'll tell you another one too. I'll be at tomorrow night's game, Tuesday night's game against Western Michigan. Now, Western Michigan's also of the three teams in the MAC right now that's 4-0 in conference.
Right.
Western Michigan. Now, Western Michigan is 7-9 overall, but they're 4-0 in the conference.
They're playing the conference tough. Yeah,
they're playing the conference tough. So, Akron got them tomorrow night at the Jar. So I'll be down there.
There you go. And then their next game this week, Friday.
Away against rival Kent State.
They're going to be in Kent, and that's going to be the first of the big matchups there. First of maybe 3, because they end up finding each other in the tournament somewhere, and so that will be on ESPNU.
Kent's struggling right now.
Yeah, so
they're 1-3 in the MAC right now. They're 8-8 overall. They Tennessee of their 4 MAC games, 3 of them they lost in overtime, so they're staying in the games.
Right.
The Northern Illinois, they lost to Northern Illinois in overtime the other night. So I
will tell you, no matter how good or bad Kent State is in the MAC, they'll play you tough in basketball and men's basketball. It was announced this morning that their Saturday game at home against Toledo on February 2nd was picked up by ESPN2. So they got a national TV televised game picked up.
Akron, Toledo are the 2. Akron, Toledo, and Western Michigan are all 4-0 in the conference. There's only 3 teams they're undefeated in the conference.
And the story with Toledo, they dominate all season long until that tournament, and they find a way to lose. That's been the story there. But no, that's good for Akron getting some recognition. They think this is going to be a good game.
Well, in the mid-majors tournament, of course, there's been a change with Gonzaga. Gonzaga getting beat by San Diego State the other night.
Right.
Now Princeton's the number 1 mid-major conference team in the country. Akron was 15th going into last night. So
right
in the country of the top 25. So.
Yep. They're 12-4. I mentioned to Ohio State's 12-4 too. Bad week for Ohio State last week. They lost to number 15 Wisconsin 71-60. That was the only game they played. So they really should win this game against Michigan because they could use another Big Ten win. They're kind of 500 in the Big Ten right now. I think they're 2-2.
Well, the Big Ten's like any other conference. I mean, you get conference play and it's anybody's ball game.
Right, absolutely. Cleveland Cavaliers, we're going to switch to them now. Played only 1 game last week. We told you before break they won in France 111-102 against the Nets. Yes, oh yes. Good, great game. What was funny is I didn't know this, but it replaced the Cavs home game. So if they asked them to the Cavs brought their between timeout and quarter and halftime entertainment with them to France. So the 216 sticks were there, and all the regular.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't see that.
Yeah, I don't think they brought the Whining Goldies or any of their other big.
My thing, if it was a home game, then why didn't they bring all the season ticket holders too? They should have brought.
That's a lot of money to bring.
But you know what? They're taking away a home game, but they paid to go see.
Right.
Think about it. That ain't right.
I know.
That ain't right.
I know. I got tickets to see the Nets later this year, but so it wasn't that game. But yeah, but they won. That's all that matters. Donovan Mitchell had a great game. Him and Jared Allen still pushing their case to be all-stars this year, and I think they both can make it there. So their games this week, and this is where the schedule gets a little tougher. Now, today they play the Bulls. Bulls are so-so. They haven't been playing great this year. They should win that game. Wednesday at home, they play the Bucks. Bucks won on a buzzer beater last night. Bucks are playing very good. Cavs, good or bad, they play the Bucks well. They play them tough, but they are 0-2 versus the Bucks this year. They got to find a way to beat it, because that's going to be a team, especially if you're going to be talking as a playoff team, that's a team that's going to get in your way. So they do play the Bucks. The other game they have is Saturday in Atlanta. So that one's going to be a little tough, because they got Atlanta's number this year, but Atlanta's going to come at you tough. I know Atlanta's talking about a big change-up at the trade deadline. We'll see about that. But so it's 3 Eastern Conference foes, 2 home games. Bulls, Bucks, and Hawks this week. I think if they can go at least 2-1, they're going to be in good shape there. I would like 3-0. But, I think that Bucks game is going to be very tough there as well. As far as, because the trade deadline's coming up in the NBA for the Cavs, is there any serious suitors? I mean, they are talking, and one name that's come up is Dorian Finney-Smith. He played up against the Cavs in France. He started the game. He had no stats. He didn't score a point. He missed 1 shot, no rebounds, no assists. And that's one guy they're thinking about potentially getting. And rumor has it the Nets have asked about Dean Wade. So
no, they better not.
I'll
never root for the Cavs again if they get rid of my boy.
If they get rid of Dean Wade there. It's just talk right now. I mean, another player that has come up on the Cavs radar is Andrew Wiggins, but he's got a big contract. It'd be nice to see the first overall pick eventually play for Cleveland, like he was originally selected, but then was traded for Kevin Love. But again, like what would the Warriors want back? Warriors are not playing good. Actually, in the current sports we're talking, NHL, NBA, and NFL, the Warriors were made the bottom 25 of all the sport. Yeah, they're not playing well. So they're looking for a big trade change up, but what would the Cavs trade for that? I don't know. I don't think Jared Allen's gonna. They want a big man. That's why it's getting brought. But I don't think Jared Allen's on the board. I think the Cavs will be very particular. And it could be a case before you get all uppity and mad. Dorian Smith could get cut after trade deadline, and after those waivers, all those good players they get cut with, like just to free cap space up, and they do buyouts and whatnot. Cavs got a roster spot open, so they could just sign them off of free agency. So that is an option. They don't have to, because they don't really want to part with anybody with what they have. Things are going well, even with all the injuries. I will tell you, they are. It's looking more and more. Darius Garland could be back in action soon. It's not going to be tonight. It may not be Wednesday, but realistically, Saturday against the Hawks, you could see Darius Garland back after him breaking part of his jaw there about a month ago. So, and I haven't heard an update on Evan Mobley, but we know he's healing somewhere. But to have Darius back would be big. I mean, you get your point guard back that scores 20 points a game, 7 to 9 assists. That makes a big difference, So it would be good to see him back as well. But right now, things are pretty good for the Cavs. Again, they only played 1 game. Because of all the other things that have happened this week, they bumped up a spot, and they are now 4th in the East. So there's a couple teams that did lose.
They just need to be in the top 8.
Right.
I mean, what they got? Half the season done now. I mean, they got what's their record? They're
22-15.
22-15, so that's 38. Yeah, they're just about halfway.
There you go.
The 82 game schedule. So
there you have it. Real quick, we got a couple more minutes here. We'll go talk some baseball hot stove. Today the Guardians signed Nivaldo Rodriguez to probably a free agent deal. He did play with Detroit back in. He had a stint with Houston in 2020. He was at the minor leagues with Detroit the past couple years. It's just somebody that I think he played in Venezuela last year.
Yeah, I don't know much about him.
No, it's just somebody they picked up just to look at. That that's the Guardians offseason in a nutshell though. It's just not.
You ain't gonna see the Guardians making much of moves.
No, actually, they were talking about a couple baseball executives were gathered around just talking, and they said they don't expect Cleveland to win anything anytime soon. That was the attitude there.
They're trying to build their minor league system back up. At one time, Cleveland had the best minor league system.
They did for like 20 years, and then now
all of a sudden it went down. I think they're trying to get that built back up now. So
right, and it's just poor drafting at this point. You've heard us rant and rave about that.
I mean, we're a mid-market team. We don't have the money like the Yankees and Dodgers have to go out and buy the players that we want. So.
Right, but there's still a better way to do it. I mean, for a quick example there, you brought up the Dodgers. Yes, they've spent over $1 billion in guaranteed money this offseason. That's probably the biggest offseason in MLB history. They're still the number one minor league team, though, because they draft so well. And they develop their players better than anybody else. Now, I did see a trade that confused me. They trade away two of their best prospects to the Cubs for other prospects. And I think they're running out of options in those contracts. So they were like, look, we're going to trade them and give them a chance to play somewhere else because they're not going to play with...
That's what it is. The options are up.
Right. Right, with Michael Bush and everything there. But, I mean, just a couple final thoughts because I saw we were out of time here. But... I mean, yeah, they have this big payroll, they're spending money, but that's what made the Dodgers so good was they're some of the best at scout, and that's what Cleveland's got to be. It can't be just starting pitching, and they have failed to get enough position players and bullpen pitchers out of these drafts.
At one time, all Cleveland went after was pitchers.
Right.
At one time, their minor league system was loaded with pitchers.
Right.
Nothing else. But
right. Well, it's that. Transition from Shapiro to Onetti presidency, because when you had both of them, it was a good mix. Because Shapiro was a hitter's guy, he could see. You look at Toronto now, pitching's so, but the hitting's good. Why? Because Shapiro's running the show up there. Now that he's been gone and it's Onetti, it's been a lot of starting pitchers and not enough of everything else. And it's got them in a bad position. So we'll see. I mean, they got some decent talent going in the MLB roster this year, but outside of
they still got pitching,
right?
But not
bullpen.
Not bullpen.
No, and the hitting is still quite. You got Naylor and Ramirez, but outside of and Quan, Quan's been consistent. Everybody else, it's going to be
a great leadoff guy.
Yeah, he is. He really is.
Yeah.
Good player. Hey, we got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to give you some playoff predictions in the NFL. We got to do it. So talking about that and more coming up. Stay tuned. Welcome to our last segment of today's 10-cent beer night. Thanks for joining us, Bob.
Thanks for inviting me, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thank you, producer Bob. There.
You got a raise coming. Your contract's coming up.
Good. It's about time. Maybe I can make 5 cents on the minute now.
Or doubling your salary.
There you go. I get a dime per
episode.
Good analyst review. Whatever. No, Anyway, Ohio State just lost to Michigan 65-73 in basketball, so they've lost 3 straight all to the Big Ten. And then, of course, Bob, we brought it up. For football, it's a done deal. Basketball, it's not going to happen until after this year, but they got more Big Ten teams coming starting next year, so they got to find a way how to win the Big Ten in basketball because it's going to get hard. I mean, Oregon usually has a decent team. Washington, okay. USC, with injuries and stuff, has not played up to par with what they think. I know Bronny James had his first start the other night, did not do so hot. So that's an interesting scenario there. And then I'm forgetting a team. Oh, you got UCLA. UCLA usually has a good basketball team. Now, Ohio State beat them earlier in the year. But they would have to play them, I think, twice a year going forward next year. We'll see. I mean, I don't know how that's going to work.
I don't know how they're going to work that.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's their side of the conference. They play twice a year. The others, they play once or something.
Like the MAC used to do.
Yeah.
But see, they don't do that anymore. MAC's playing everybody twice.
Yeah, but their conference isn't as big.
Well, you still got 12 teams.
Yeah. I mean, we'll have to.
If you look at the standings now, it used to be the East and the West in basketball. Now football still got the East and the West, but in basketball, it's all set to one thing now.
Right.
It's all 12 teams are together, and they're going to take the top 8. Will go to whatchamacallit. So there's 4 teams won't make it to the playoffs.
Right. Going back to football real quick, it's tough because there's only one official game because we have 2 critical games tonight. So this is how it would work. We'll start with the Pittsburgh and Buffalo game here at 4:30. And again, I know the folks listening at home, they already know the answers to these.
Well, Buffalo's going to win it.
Yeah. We're going to assume Buffalo's. If Buffalo wins, okay, then Buffalo will play Kansas City at Buffalo because Buffalo's number 2 seed. So that's going to be a good one. And Houston then would play the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore. And then if Pittsburgh were to win, if hell gets a little cold there, okay.
Then Pittsburgh will go to Baltimore.
Pittsburgh's going to go to Baltimore. Kansas City would play Houston and whatnot. So let's just go with what we know. If Houston goes to play Baltimore, Bob, what are you thinking here?
If Houston goes to play Baltimore.
I'm thinking Baltimore too. It'll be a good game though. It's going to be a good game. I think Baltimore by 10. I think they'll score a last-second field goal or touchdown that will make it 2-possession game.
Stroud's playing really well,
right.
But Baltimore just got more experience.
Baltimore's not going to turn over the ball like Flacco did, You're right, though. If Houston were to play Kansas City, what do you think?
If Houston play Kansas City?
Yeah, if hell freezes over, Pittsburgh beats Baltimore.
I would like Houston.
Yeah. I think Houston would win that matchup.
I really do. I think Houston's a pretty good team.
Kansas City over. I watched the Kansas City Miami game. They overall played well, but they haven't been playing up to par what people thought.
Did you see Mahomes' helmet?
Yes. It makes you wonder a bit.
It makes you wonder, but it was so cold that a helmet literally smashed.
Yes. I mean, they were showing people were buying, the Smart Water. They sold the big ones in Kansas City. They took it out of that fridge and it froze completely solid in 5 seconds. That's what I'm wondering. Did anybody drink any beer there? Because how could you? It's so cold. It probably was a beer sickle by the time.
I know who was warm though. They kept showing her.
Yep, I know. Up in that box.
Up in that box, Taylor Swift was dancing and singing.
She was getting really into it there, but okay, so we agreed there. All right, so that's the Houston situation. So we say in these situations they could beat Kansas City, but we don't think they'll beat Baltimore here. Let's say, all right, Buffalo wins. They're going to go play Kansas City. What do you think?
I really think it's going to be Buffalo.
You think Buffalo there?
I like Buffalo.
I don't
think Kansas City's going all the way.
I don't think they're going all the way either, but I think against Buffalo, believe it or not, I would take Kansas City in Buffalo. I think it'd be it's going to be close like it was was it a year or two ago? I can't remember when that really good playoff game between Buffalo and Kansas City where it went to overtime. It'll be similar to that, but I do think Kansas City will edge them out. If they just have Buffalo's number.
In Buffalo?
Yeah, even in Buffalo. There's something about Kansas City and Buffalo. Kansas City's got their number. I don't know.
Well, they're 2 of the original AFL teams.
And so hypothetically, let's see, because if Buffalo were to win, that would be the matchup. Let's say hell freezes over, Pittsburgh wins, and they go play Baltimore. You got Baltimore.
I got Baltimore.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to go that far either.
I don't think
Pittsburgh won by the skin of their teeth to get here. And I give them. I do. It was Mike Tomlin, and the fact of talking about him getting out before the playoff game, I think that's a bad sign right off the bat. In the fact that he addressed it that way. I'm not saying what he did was
it is
wrong.
his first time that he's ever went into the end of the season without a contract extension.
Right.
So there's something he
took him to the playoffs.
and I think, I mean, over the years, he's never had that problem. For some reason, either extension wasn't brought up this year, or he just decided he didn't want to do it for some reason. You know, because I'm sure they would have offered him extension a while back.
Yeah, you would think.
You would think it wouldn't have been just yesterday.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, that is a very strange situation for a guy that won 17 straight winning seasons. Never in a losing season since his rookie year as a coach. 17 straight, 2 Super Bowl trips, 1 title.
There's just something fishy about it.
It's I wish him the best. No, I don't like that team, but he is a Hall of Fame coach. There's no denying.
Oh yeah, he's going to be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah. There's no denying that. And I've talked to several Browns fans in the hypothetical situation that Stefanski never worked out, or if they were to and they're not. Stefanski's here for the long haul. But would we take Tomlin? Every single one said yes. Mm-hmm. They would take because you're going to win. He's going to find a way.
Just because I don't like the Steelers, don't mean I don't like their coach.
Right. And Bill Coward has had very nice things to say about Cleveland this year. And that was a guy that people want free, but he's not going to do that to his Steelers reputation. He's done head coaching too. But, that was a guy that spent a lot of good time in Cleveland as a player and an assistant coach, So there you have it there. Tonight we have Philadelphia, Tampa Bay. I told you at the beginning of the show we were split on that from last week. Now going forward, winner's going to play Detroit, okay? Bob, if Tampa Bay wins this game like you think they're going to do, is Baker Mayfield going to beat the Lions next weekend?
No. I still think I'm telling you, I think Detroit's going all the way. They're going they're going to the dance.
You think same thing with Philly?
No, I don't think Philly's going all the way.
No, do you think against Detroit, if Philly were to win tonight,
they'd play Detroit?
Yeah, they're going to play Detroit.
I'm going with Detroit.
Okay. Here's how I feel. If Tampa Bay wins, I think Detroit wins next weekend. I think it'll be like a 13-game lead win. Again, like I've told you before, I like Tampa Bay. I like Baker. I think Baker revived his career, showing what he could do in Tampa Bay. Even a lot of the Tampa Bay legends said they found their quarterback in Baker, which is awesome to hear. I just don't think it's not Baker. I think the defense for the Buccaneers does not have enough against Detroit. And Detroit's got that explosive offense. And they just held them to the Rams, but that was going to be one of their toughest opponents the whole playoffs. So, that was a good win for them there. I think, though, if Philly wins and A.J. Brown comes back next weekend, I think Philly's going to beat the Lions. And I think they played. I'm going to pull this up now.
Philadelphia they're not playing well.
No, they did not. I think that was last year. I'm thinking of. I thought they played the Lions this year. They did not play the Lions this year. And then I will actually real quick. I'm going to pull up Tampa Bay's too. Because I thought maybe they played. They lost to the Lions 20-6. Tampa Bay did earlier this year. That was Sunday, October 15th.
That's early.
So yeah, but still. There you go. So that's the situation we're in. The one game for next weekend that is official, is Green Bay at San Francisco. What do you think about that one there, Bob? Green Bay surprising people. They are coached very well there with Matt LaFleur.
I got to go with the 49ers.
I'm going Niners too, specifically just because of defense, Green Bay's defense, okay. They did beat a good Dallas team. They did play very well against a great Dallas team. But 49ers defense is so good. They're not going to give up the points to Jordan Love. And for the record, Jordan Love had almost the exact same stats as C.J. Stroud did in his first playoff game, except Love had 2 more yards. So he had a great game, but so I think this Niners defense is not going to give up that. So I'm going to go with San Francisco as well, and I think at home too. I just think it's a better situation for San Francisco. They're predicting rain and 63 degrees, which is much better compared to what Kansas City went through this past weekend. So there are your picks right there. It's a little complicated because 2 games haven't been played. But all in all, Bob's pretty sold on Detroit going in the weekend. We agree on San Francisco. And then we're kind of lopsided. We think if Houston plays this team, they could win, but if anybody plays Baltimore, Baltimore's probably going to win. Like, that's probably where we're at.
I personally, I believe it's going to be Baltimore and Detroit, but I see Baltimore going all the way.
I unfortunately see it, too, because, I don't like them, but they do have the talent. They did, they played very well this year on both sides of the ball. There's no denying that. And the contract for Lamar Jackson so far working out very well, but we'll have to see. So we're down to 8 teams, 4 games left of this NFL season. Hard to believe it came by so fast.
Yeah, but won't be long though. They're going to be saying play ball.
Yep, spring training's in about
right
a month.
around the corner.
About a month, yeah. So we'll be excited about it. They already
come
said.
Think of it, today being the 15th.
Yep. 1 month.
1 month from today.
1 month.
Pitchers and the catchers report to spring training.
All right, 1 month.
February 15th.
They already were showing a couple Guardians rookie league prospects are already down in Goodyear throwing pitches and everything. So some of them got a head start there.
Well,
but they get exceptions because they're part of the rookie league, which is in Arizona. So, and I don't know how that works. Like, I guess they play in the fall and then they play parts in the winter. Like
the fall ball.
Yeah, there. Let's turn that attention to that because we're about done with basketball and football updates real quick. And while this is just breaking news, Caleb Williams, USC quarterback, he's predicted to be the top quarterback in the draft. He is officially going into the draft. So that just came in. So
now, I see that the Michigan quarterback's going in the draft too.
Yep. Oh, I
didn't know he was. I thought he was a senior.
Yeah, he's a redshirt junior. That's what it is, or something.
So he's going in the draft. So his eligibility's done.
And that's the question: if Harbaugh were to take that Chargers job, does he think about switching quarterbacks?
Yeah, but would Chargers ain't gonna have that high a draft, are they?
They have the 6th or 7th pick or so. Yeah, they did not do well this year. They have a top 10 pick. Yeah, they did not. I mean, that's why their coach got fired after giving up 63 points to the Raiders.
63 points against the Raiders?
Yeah. In Thursday Night Football, yeah. He got fired right after that, yeah. It was
63 points? I don't remember that.
63-17 they lost. Yeah, it was a bad one. It was really bad to the Raiders interim coach there. That was a
I do not remember that. Wow.
Yeah. It was bad. But going in, okay, we're a month away. We still got MLB free agency. This year's done pretty well because all the big names were off the board before January, before the holidays even started. If you're the Guards, what else should you do right now? Because it's difficult because sounds like they haven't traded Shane Bieber at this point, so it sounds like he could be on the opening day roster.
Well, he's last couple seasons he's been hurt.
Yeah,
a lot of people are leery of that. Shane ain't getting any younger.
No,
he's what 30, 36, 37.
I don't think he's that old.
He's in his late middle, at least mid 30s.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Because he's still under that rookie contract.
No,
he's 28.
He's only 28.
Yeah,
damn, he's a young.
He was drafted.
He's a kid.
He was drafted in.
Now get rid of him. No, I'm just kidding with you. I thought he was in his 30s. Damn. Bob, we're getting old, Bob. Yeah.
Yeah, he was drafted in 2016.
Damn.
Yeah, I knew he wasn't that old. Yeah, but his rookie contract's almost up. That's what it is. There.
Well, you better. Maybe you should think about getting rid of him so you can get something for him.
No, that's what the suspicion has been, but they haven't made any of those moves yet.
Because once he gets in the contract negotiation time, Cleveland ain't gonna be able to afford him.
No. And here's the thing I'm thinking. You look at free agency, there's still a couple of decent free agents left. They haven't necessarily established shortstop yet. You could move Jimenez there, or you tell Gabriel Arias this is your chance. Because they did pick him up to be the heir to Lindor when they did, And he's been moving around. They've been trying to get him more reps. And next year for sure he's going to get more. Unless he's hurt, God forbid. But I'm looking, is there any bat or, I know bullpen-wise, the good arms are taken. It wasn't a big free agent class for the bullpen. What do they do here? Anything to help them. Anything to help the new coach.
I think our promoter over there is Rich.
What did he pull out? Is he making a bet for what the Guardians are going to do?
Yeah. What do you got over there, Robert? What do you got over there? You a rich guy now?
Yeah, my buddy Harold gave me some money.
It looks like $1 million.
$1 million bill. Damn.
Who's on the $1 million bill? There you go. No, it's the Statue of Liberty.
Statue of Liberty, yeah.
There you go. So Bob could afford one good minor league contract.
Hey, Bob, you want to buy a radio station?
One good minor league contract with that. Major league contract with that. But I'm just curious because, I see guys like, here's it. Now, this is a guy that's probably going to want to go to a contender, but JD Martinez is still a free agent. He had a good year last year. He's not going to go back to the Dodgers. They loaded up in the outfield and DH position, so that's not going to happen. But if you're the Guards, you need a bat. Am I off by thinking?
You're not off.
And it's...
We still need bats.
I just don't think they're trying. That's my issue. I got these fans walk up saying, I thought they were closer than what they are. Why are people writing them off? And I have to explain, the minors have been awful for the first time since the 70s. They're not performing well at all. I cannot stress that enough. There's no help coming up.
I don't know. I don't think we get another rebuilding year. That's all I can say. I don't know. I don't know what to say.
I feel for a Coach Vogt vote right now. He's going to have a lot on his plate.
I think that's the reason why they went out and got him. Not a big name guy, because they know that it's a rebuilding team.
Right.
And he's going to learn with them.
Right.
Okay? It's simple as that.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. We're out of time. We'll have more baseball talk soon because we're getting to that point.
It's that time of year.
Yeah, so that's great. Less football, more baseball. It's March free agency, and then it's going to be football again for a little bit. Then it'll cool down. Then we'll have the draft. It'll pick back up. Then we'll have the whole summer not to talk about it. Unless you're a local radio station in Northeast Ohio, then you'll talk about the Browns all summer long over baseball, and I don't agree with that, but that's why we're whatever's going on today. So we got to end it. Next week we will talk about who's going to the conference championships in football. We'll talk about how the Cavs did. We'll talk about how the Buckeyes and Zips did. That and more. We'll also have more recruiting updates with you because the signing day's coming up and transfers. And both Akron and Ohio State are getting some solid talent in the program. So
we need to talk about that next week.
Yeah, we will, and there'll be more information.
Because the spring game is going to be coming up pretty soon.
Yeah. Believe it or not, we're at that point now. But spring games are usually in March, so that'll be creeping up there. All right, well, we gotta close this one out. Thank you guys for listening. Seriously, on Fifth Dimension, Facebook, or YouTube, we appreciate it. I'm Seth.
I'm Bob.
And go Zips. We're gonna go with the Zips today. Go Zips.